This video is on the second stimulus check update for June 26th, and we're going to talk about food programs, temporary relief programs, and mortgage relief programs as well. So let's begin. Alright, before we begin, thank you guys for watching my channel. Subscribe if you're new to my channel. Also, this is my site. Go to my site, nicholasbrowninc.com, if you want to read articles in the past. So here's what we're going to cover. We're going to cover NLIC, National Low Income Housing Coalition. We're going to cover the rental assistance state list. We're going to cover the mortgage rent protection. We're going to cover the food programs. We're going to cover the immediate food aid. And we're going to cover, once again, the list tied to NLIC, National Low Income Housing Coalition. Okay? So let's go over the information by NLIC, National Low Income Housing Coalition. Here we go. Okay, NLIHC stands for National Low Income Housing Coalition. What they do, they monitor the federal, state, and local responses to the pandemic as it relates to the housing and homelessness. I repeat, this company, National Low Income Housing Coalition, better known as NLIC, monitors the federal, state, and local responses to the pandemic as it relates to the housing and homelessness. You can find these updates and additional resources at the link that I have located here, which you'll see that link. But what they stood out when I did my research on them, they're going to focus on more programs because they have, as I'm going to show you here, they have over 800 sources that they're tied to, which I'm going to show you this information also, where it have links where you can get more information about them. I just want you guys to see the basics on there and how I came across them, who they represent. So they deal with state and local rental assistance, which they have over, as you see on here, if you see on here, they're representing over 800 plus members. If I can show this before on here, I have a breakdown. I just gave my basic. They're known as the Disaster Housing Recovery Coalition and lead more than 850 national, state, and local organizations, including many working directly with disaster impacted communities and with first-hand experience recovering after disasters. We should consider this. Now, I'm going to focus on this. They follow 7 principles of disaster recovery, which stands out. If not already, you can watch the video as I'm showing right here. I'm just reading what I have here. You can watch the video. We're going to go over that. And there's a reason for this, because I want to make sure you guys get the actual source. I don't want you wouldn't want to get a fly-by-night. So my goal is to try to get you some basic information due on my research or my team research that you can rely on, or get to the source, to the bridge. So they represent this. I'm going to give you a link. They represent more than 850 national, state, and local organizations, where that's when it comes to this site here, where here's what they represent. You can download this also, but I'm gonna read it with you guys so we can just move on to this. There's a purpose for this. I want you to understand. Okay, 7, because you go by principles. Once again, 2, you can save this video. Make sure you subscribe because it's going to be lengthy. I want you to get this video, ladies and gentlemen. I want you to get this. I want you to download this information too for the newsletter, where you can go to your source. You can play it over and over. You can read this over and over. But I got to do my job, my purpose. I got to finish this. I got to get this video complete and tell you how I got to them. But they go by principles, just like I'm going. 7 key principles. Disaster Housing Recovery Coalition. The Disaster Housing Recovery Coalition's 7 key principles to ensure a just and equitable recovery for low-income survivors and their communities. Number 1, everyone in need receives safety, temporary housing where they can reconnect with family and community. That stood out. That's a plus. Number 2, securing help from government is accessible, understandable, and timely. They work with that. They want to focus on that. Make sure they can secure with the government of the states that we're in, and give you the source. I'm going to show you this. They have the source to that. They're steady doing this. They're not fly by night. Number 3, the principles believe in displaced people have access to the resources they need for as long as they need to safely and quickly recover housing, personal property, and transportation. Disaster rebuilding jobs and contracts are locally resourced whenever possible. Number 4, everyone is fairly assisted to fully and promptly recover through transparent and accountable programs and strict compliance with civil rights laws, with survivors having a say in the way assistance is provided. They're long term. Things may not work out now, what's going on now for you guys to survive, or what's going on with the Republicans, Democrats, or whatever. They're part of this. They're on top of them. They're watching out for. That's their principle. That's their goal. Because everyone's go through things. We're surviving, right? But anyhow, that's one reason. I can go deep in that. I just want to go through this, what's needed, the most information needed as possible for this video, so you can get your source and go over that this weekend or whenever. Okay. Number 5, all homeowners are able to quickly rebuild in safe, quality neighborhoods of their choice. That's another principle I love. Because you may be renting, you may be off, you may be coming off the street, but don't give up. This is the source. They'll help you. I'm going to give you the key. I'm going to give you the key sources who they work with. They work with over 850 like-minded types of sources or places you can go. Okay. Number 7, renters and anyone experiencing homelessness before the disaster quickly get quality, affordable, accessible rental property in safe, quality neighborhoods of their choice. Number 7, all neighborhoods are free from environmental hazards, have equal quality and accessible public infrastructure, and are safe and resilient. Okay? So that's one reason what we went through. So next thing I came across is the housing needs. What's so great about National Low Income Housing Coalition? They have a list. You can use this right here. This is the purpose of here. This is the states, housing needs by states, and they also deal with the state and local rental assistance, which they have local information. This is tied on with the states, but I'm gonna give you an example where you can go how you will use this. So let's just say let's go with Michigan. I'm just going by. You can choose any state. What it's going to do is going to take you where they're tied on to with Michigan. Then you stroll down, it's giving you data of what's going on also in that area. But if you want to find out the programs, if I'm not mistaken, let's go to Michigan. There's links on here where you can find out more information, which I'll do more videos in time. Send me your comments, which this says no, but I'm gonna this is for rental assistance. I have another site. Don't worry about that. That's what I have, another link on this list for that. So I researched for a link for that also. Okay. Okay, so this is disaster recovery collision, as it says here, as I was reading before. NLIC leads the disaster housing recovery collision on more than 850 national, state, and local organizations, including many working directly with disaster impact communities with the first-hand experience. Okay, so this is the basic. I just wanted to give you the basics on this. Okay, so it's also you may have to play around with it where it says state level part of the housing trust resources. So okay, great. So see how we found the resources? You click that button, it shows the resources. Just want to get you to the source. I just want to give you guys the links to the sources. I also got information about the pandemic, rental assistance, shelter closing, state and local news. You see how that goes? Okay, so let's go to the next part. Okay, this is the link briefly, as it says NLIHC.org/rental assistance. I have the link on there on this description here. Also, make sure if you need, download that newsletter. Download the newsletter. It's updated. I got all this information on here. Okay, if you decide you don't want to copy it on the description, but this is briefly what I went over before. Let's try Michigan. As we showed before, it doesn't show that. This is for rental assistance, but you see before how we went to the housing needs by state. If you use that, if I back up here, I came to that link. Would you have that link also? You can just click your states and they give you that information. So for example, let's try Florida. I'll give you an example. If I get Florida, we figured out you can go to the resources. You should be able to get more information. And also have a download, okay? So we covered that. So let's go to the next part we're going to cover. Okay, let's cover the mortgage and rent protection. This is CFPB, which stands for Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. They represent you, the consumer. They go just like the other source I sent you before. They represent you, the consumer. They fight against, or they represent, they make sure the government is in line to not to get over a consumer. This is also part of credit repair, which I've done. I've done credit repair. I had a credit repair company. This source works. I promise you, and it works fast. If you don't hear anything, or if you're trying to take something on your credit, 14 days or less, you're gonna have an answer, because they represent the government. They represent the bureaus. Anything's incorrect, they'll get it taken care of. They have a crew. They're not going anywhere. But protections for renters. If you're having trouble making rent payments as a result of the pandemic, you're not alone. Fortunately, there are steps renters can take, as well as many significant protections from eviction that apply in certain situations. Federal, state, and local governments are taking action to offer relief, and this includes helping and protecting many renters. Keep reading, as it said, to find out about these protections. You have this link also, but I'm going to read this for someone who would like to watch me read instead of get to reading, right? So learn about federal protections for renters. The CARES Act provides certain protections from eviction and late fees due to non-payment of rent for most tenants in the federally subsidized or federally backed housing. From March 22nd to July 24th, 2020, if you fall into the category described below, your landlord or housing authority may not do the following. They can't do the following. They can't file a legal action to evict you for non-payment of rent or other fees or charges. They can't charge fees, penalties, or other charges related to non-payment. They can't give you a 30-day notice to vacate, leave the property until July 25th, 2020. Little note, I'm pretty sure that's going to extend. Remember, as I play this video, Friday, what's the date? What's the date here? The day is the 26th, right? They can't, a lot of things about to happen. They're having a second round of the pandemic, right? So things about to change. They're going to extend it. But I advise you, if you're having that situation based on this is the end of the month right now coming along, get to it. So these CARES Act protections do not apply, but they do not apply if your landlord filed a lawsuit to evict you before March 27, 2020. In this situation, your state or local jurisdiction may be offering protection from eviction. These CARES Act protections do not apply, as it said. Another reason why it doesn't apply. It doesn't apply if you are being evicted for reasons other than non-payment of rent or other fees and charges. For instance, your landlord can still try to evict you for breaking other agreements in your lease. Rent payments are still due. If the CARES Act eviction moratorium applies to you, rent payments are still due on the usual date. If you can, continue to pay your rent to avoid eviction in the future. If you are experiencing financial hardship that make it difficult to pay your rent on time, contact your landlord or housing authority right away. If you rent from a private company or landlord, a payment agreement may help you avoid eviction once the moratorium is over. If you live in a federally subsidized housing and your income has changed, you may qualify for a reduction in rent. Contact your housing authority to talk about income recertification. Okay, this is also showing more information. You can find out if you're protected. You may be protected from eviction if you receive federal rental assistance or live in federally subsidized housing, or your landlord has a federally backed mortgage. Here's other information. Do that. What to check. So make sure you guys stick with this, okay? This is for the mortgage and rent section, okay? If you have a mortgage or if you're renting, this is what helps you. This is a site, and it gives you instructions on that, okay? This is a link to that. So just read on and do your due diligence, okay? So let's go to the next link and source we're going to talk about. Now let's talk about food programs. All right. This link that I'm giving you is with USA.gov. It's a disaster help food housing bills. Okay, so they deal with, here's the name of the program too, the source. When you click that link, it'll take you straight here. It's called the Food Programs Ease Rules for the Pandemic. You may now have an easier time getting food through government meal programs during the emergency, the pandemic emergency. It talks about, which I have a few videos, it's talking about food stamps, which deal with the SNAP recipients may receive supplemental funding. Parents can pick up school meals for the kids to eat at home. People can enroll in food programs remotely rather than in person. This applies to programs for pregnant women, families, seniors, and people with disabilities. It goes down the line too. Read about these and other governmental meal program adjustments during the pandemic. To enroll or get to information, then you click here. This is service. You click here for the agencies. You also click here for food assistance, which I'm about to show you here. So if I click for the food assistance, that's where it ties me. Here's the food assistance. Find out how to get food in case of emergency. Apply for food stamps and what free or low-cost food programs are available for infants, children, and seniors. Learn about the rule changes during the virus, the emergency. Okay, so on this page, here's the links. Here are more links that it's covered. It's going to give you more information about, and the numbers if you stroll on down. You see here? So this is a list, and here's frequently asked questions. Once again, this is for your due diligence. I want to make sure I have this page for you, so you have the source. You have this for the weekend and anytime going. Also, you can download that on the newsletter. So my goal is to give you all the sources to get you started and get you to that bridge, crossing that bridge. Okay. The next one it covers is before, as I have here, I have the disaster. Also, I guess I have that figured out, which that's good. So basically, these are all the links that I wanted to provide for you guys, especially what's about to happen. Everyone needs to be prepared for what's about to go on with the pandemic, and everyone needs to be prepared for their surrounding food, clothing, and shelter, right? So I appreciate you guys spending this time to watch this video. If you have watched it to this full time, the full video, thanks. Also, make sure you subscribe. If you have any comments, you have any other information, any sources you want me to research, me and my team to research to get you that link, we will do that. So thanks again for watching. Have a great and safe weekend, and have a great day.